Hey, it's Jay here. I thought I'd do a little video just on my bass effects pedal board that I got here. This is pretty much what I've settled upon. Of course, things change, so I'm sure some other cool pedal will come out. Always was pretty much of a straight bass, right in the amp kind of guy. But now they've got some really good pedals out for bass that don't really take the low end out. So I'm kind of into it now. Anyways, I got everything's mounted on a Pedal Train board. It's just a Pedal Train Junior, a small one. And all the power's coming from a Voodoo Labs pedal power module. So that supplies isolated power to each pedal. So you're not daisy chaining them. You don't have problems with ground loops or hums, or you get a bad pedal in the chain, it could screw up the rest of them. So basically I start in with my tuner. It's a chromatic tuner. It's the Boss chromatic tuner, and I went through a couple other ones before I settled on this. So basically the sound will come through when you step on it. It mutes it, so if you're on stage you can go ahead and hit it. My G's a little bit flat, so I bring it up a little bit. Boom, it's in. I like this pedal. It's really easy to read, as you can see. Get it in tune here. Boom, there's the A. So it is an easy readout. It's also easy out in the light, and the other thing is it picks up my B string. And here's my B. A little bit flat. Boom, right in. That's my low B without doing a harmonic. Any other tuner couldn't handle the B. I either had to tune it by ear or play the harmonic and tune it to that. So it stays muted. You bring it back in, and there's the tone. So I'll just play my regular bass tone so you can hear it without the pedals. And this is just finger style through my bass amp. So that's finger style, and then here's my bass dry with a pick, same line. And then of course pick muted. So that's basically my dry sound. Next in line, the first thing I have in line is my dirt box, is fuzz. And I think if you're going to put any dirt on bass, it's got to be fuzz. Fuzz is king on bass. Distortions, overdrives really don't work that good on bass. And I think out of all the fuzzes that used to be available, the Big Muff Pi is always I think sounds the best on bass. This is the deluxe bass Big Muff Pi, and it does a whole lot more than just the old Big Muff did. One of the main differences is it has a blend knob, so you can blend your dry bass signal with the affected bass signal. And you'll see pretty much all my pedals, for the most part, have that function where you can blend dry. And that's huge for bass. Not so much with guitar, but with bass, when you add effect on the top end, it also sucks the low end out usually. So sometimes you want to put the effect just on the higher harmonics and retain your low end because you are a bass player after all. What's nice about this is it does have that blend knob. This is pretty much usually where I have it set, which is about 50% wet, 50% dry. And here's my unaffected tone. And then of course with the Big Muff. sustain or the saturation about halfway. I'm kind of a 12 o'clock guy. Everything, a lot of my pedals is usually about 12 o'clock halfway. But that's what I like. You still got a lot of my fundamental low end bass in there. But I have the dirt in there too, and it thickens it up rather nicely. But you do have this blend knob, so I can go all the way to my dry sound, all the way to only the affected sound. And the old Big Muffs, this is what you would have when you kicked it on. It's just all effect. Which is still pretty cool because the Big Muff fuzz retains the low end a lot. So that's why I think it's one of the best fuzzes for bass. Now, and then you can get real nasty and take that distortion or the sustain all the way up here. So again, I'll kind of put it back where I usually keep it about halfway, keep my low end in there. Now the added thing this has is a crossover, which is pretty cool, and it adds kind of a tone shaping tool here to that. So here's the regular affected signal. Then you kick over the crossover. High pass filter and a low pass filter, and you can kind of shape your tones around there. Nutshell, this thing does a whole lot more, but that's pretty much the deluxe bass Big Muff high, and who doesn't like a Big Muff, man? So that's one of my favorites right there. Next in line is my octave, and it does one octave below the played note. So if I'm playing, here's my unaffected signal. Really cool too, because again, it has a dry tone mix with your affected tone. I like to keep it 50-50 when I'm doing the octave pretty much, but then it has two different voiced octaves. One's called growl, one's called girth. So I'll just put the growl on, and this is just the growl, and it's got a little bit more of a square kind of edge to it and a little bit more growly to it. So that's growl, and then I'll turn that all the way down, just turn the girth up. You hear the difference. A little bit more round and girthy, I guess. Again, I kind of like to kick these both up about 50%. It also has a mid-range boost, which is pretty cool. So here's just the regular octave pedal without the mid-range boost. And then with the mid-range boost. That helps it cut through the mix in certain situations. Then the cool other thing about this pedal is because it has a wet-dry mix, you can turn your fundamental note off and just get basically that sub-octave to what you're playing, and especially added in with some of the other pedals, you can get some cool kind of synth bass type sounds. So if you take the dry down, and we'll just do just the octave. it's kind of almost like a Moog bass and stuff. So you can get some really cool kind of synth things out of that. And that's pretty much what the Octave does. You know, next in my line is the MXR bass envelope filter. And this one's kind of a little bit more on the extreme side. It's not. It actually doesn't have a blend knob. It has a dry volume and an effects volume, so you can still mix them. Decay, Q, sensitivity, like on most bass envelope filters. This one is more akin to like real funky stuff, or I'm thinking Bootsy Collins, the Mutron. That is kind of what this pedal does. So it kind of gives you that quack, kind of an auto-wah, kind of a quacky thing, and this pedal can get real quacky. Obviously you can hear the difference. And you can mess with the Q and everything, get a little different quack in there, or where it lands on the spectrum there, but pretty much it's kind of that funkiness. So and you'll see when you combine that with the Octave, you can get some cool effects and things like that too. Next in line is one of my all-time favorite pedals. It's not very popular though, I don't think. You don't see it a lot, but I like it. It's an envelope filter as well, like the MXR, but it's a lot mellower. Not as quacky, and you really don't hear a lot of the quack. It's actually more vowel sound, so it kind of gives your bass a little bit more of a vocal quality to it, and sometimes just subtle enough it can cut through a mix, or just to give you that little bit. It comes out a lot more with a pick, with fingerstyle. It's a lot more subtle, and even works on guitar. It's kind of unique on guitar as well. But so this one, the unaffected signal, with the bass balls. And this is really only one knob on this. It kind of selects the cutoff for the twin envelope filters there. So you'll see it comes out a little bit more. It has this little distortion switch on there. It's kind of useless for bass. However, this pedal with guitar with that distortion on is pretty cool. But for bass, I don't use that. I keep it down, but distortion gives you a real, it kind of takes all the low end away and stuff on here. But also, this pedal also is a little better for slap, for envelope filters, than the MXR. The MXR gets a little crazy on slap because it's really sensitive to dynamics, but goes to the MXR, you'll see it's pretty crazy. And back again, the bass balls. And then dry. So, and pretty much last for the effects in line after the bass balls is my Source Audio Orbital Modulator. And this thing's pretty badass for all your modulation needs. So, flanger, chorus, phaser, it's got a model of the Univibe in there, some resonator flanger, shadow flanger, zero through type flanger. It's all on there. This thing is completely adjustable and programmable. You can select the waveform from a sine wave to a square wave to an envelope type wave. You can mix your dry with your wet. And what makes this unique for bass, because this is a killer guitar pedal, and I think is designed with, well, both guitar and bass in mind, but it's awesome for guitar. But what made me go this way for bass as opposed to a lot of the other pedals out there for chorus and flanger is not only can you mix your dry with your wet signal, but this pedal also has a function for bass players called low retain. So what that does is it cuts off the frequency to which it's going to add the effect. So it won't add the effect on your low end, and it'll just put that effect on the high harmonics of that note. So not on the fundamental. If you're playing a real low note, you know, if you're playing a low note down here, it won't put it on the fundamental note, but on the attached harmonics. So you'll get that high end, that chorus shimmer, but it won't suck your low end, which is common with chorus and flange and all of those. So, and you have 2 presets, so you can kind of program 2 that you like and have them preset, and of course you can change that at any time. There's other functions you can do that I don't have on there with an expression pedal or hot hand they call it, but that awesome pedal, amazing what that can do. So just a little bit, I have a little chorus on here, so great for any harmonic work, you know. So yeah, chorus. So that's just basic kind of classic chorus I have programmed there. And then on this one I have some Univibe. So. Classic kind of Jimi Hendrix Univibe thing, but then all these are obviously they're completely adjustable, all the way to ridiculous, you know. So that's all my modulation stuff there. Then next I go into the little diddle pedal. It's a little one-shot type little looper. It's cool. I mean, it's not really good for full-out performance using loops or anything. You know, like a loop station or anything like that. But what's nice about this is you can do some little one-shot things and use it live too. But it's also really a good tool for practice and rehearsing. You can record a bass line, or you can record a basically loop yourself doing a chord progression, and then play over it. So if you want to practice a soloing or practice different things, it's kind of cool. And it's got its functions. I think you could throw in there live, but not for an all-out like looping session or anything. And then out of the Ditto, I go into my ABY box, which is up here. And what this does is it allows me to go out. I'm only going out of the A side right now into the SWR, but I can go out into multiple amps. So I can go from the A side in my SWR, the B side into my Fender Bassman or the Gallien-Kruger, and I can select between the amps. So maybe if I'm using a fretless and I want to go through the Bassman, you know, I can just click B and I'm already, my signal's into a different amp. So I can use either or I can, the Y part of the box, I can use them both at the same time. So that my signal is being sent simultaneously to do two different amplifiers, and that's pretty much it. But you know, and then you combine them, and you can get some pretty cool stuff. You know, put a little bit of fuzz, maybe some octave. We'll go with this for. synth tones you can get. There's many more messing around with them, and yeah, that's just the synth tones. But I just like I like the chorus in general. Just a little bit of chorus on fretless. You know, when I'm playing fretless, that sounds good. And then of course the octave is always good for a lot of. And then of course, you know, just the straight. Let me see. Just the straight. You know, fuzz for rock stuff is always good too. There you have it in a nutshell.